Welcome to my channel and thank you for taking the time out to review this video. Well, I will be giving an exclusive review of Dr. Rosenthal's new book called The Master Lecture Series. With this review that's in-depth, you will be able to determine if you would like to purchase the new book that will be available on November the 30th, which is next week. Also, make sure you hit the like and subscribe button and the notification button because I'm going to be posting the Hell Wig codes by tomorrow. Before I get into the review of the Master Lecture Series, I want to give you some amazing news that Dr. Rosenthal shared with me and his wife first, which is awesome. He informed me that on 11/16, the Encyclopedia of Counseling, which is a purple book, is now #1 in medical educational releases on Amazon and is tagged as the #1 bestseller on Amazon. Dr. Rosenthal has the audiobook. It's still available right now until it's no longer available. So go ahead and get yours before it's not there anymore. But it has 30 hours of information and professional voiceover after Dr. Rosenthal gives his brief introduction. So like I said, you can still purchase it for right now, but I just wanted to give you that snippet information. So now let's get into what's going to be covered in the Master Lecture Series in this book review. So what we're going to review are the similarities and differences between the Encyclopedia of Counseling and the new book that comes out next week called the New Master Lecture Series. I will discuss the tutorial Q&A, the tiny test hints, and test anxiety prevention. So when looking at the similarities and differences, we'll just look at the differences first. So the Master Lecture Series has less pages, whereas it has 494 pages, and the Encyclopedia of Counseling has 612 pages. The Red Book, as I'll refer to it, because it's better than saying the whole name, has 15 chapters. The Purple Book has 14. The actual Master Lecture Series is actually an extended version of the transcript. I've noticed that people have asked me, does this book come with CDs? No, it does not. Dr. Rosenthal mentioned to me that he's discontinuing the cassettes and CDs, and this book will serve as his extended transcript that has additional information, updated questions, and so forth that we'll talk about. In addition, the tutorial questions and quick explanations are in this book, tiny test hints, test anxiety and prevention strategies, new uploaded test questions, Ask Dr. Rosenthal. You'll also have a super review bootcamp. You'll be reviewing this for the CECE as well as the NCE and the CPCE. And you can use the Master Lecture Series all by itself. And when continuing to compare to the Encyclopedia of Counseling, you do have the How to End Exam Worries, multiple choice questions, bootcamp, CPCE, and NCE. So the mentioning of the multiple choice questions, right? So the Master Lecture Series does not have any multiple choice questions. There are questions and then there are answers. There are no options to choose from. And then we'll talk about why this is a great thing to have in this book. So let's talk about the similarities. Now let's talk about the similarities. The chapters are the same that's covered. They're not in the same order though. So when you start off with the Master Lecture Series, Dr. Rosenthal starts off with research, which is the most part of the exam where a lot of students that I've noticed have the most anxiety. And so Dr. Rosenthal thought it would be a great idea to start off with research just to get that out the way, which I think is a good idea as well. In addition, it still covers those who are taking the exam for the NCE and CPCE. And not to mention a third one that's not listed here is that there is a boot camp. This boot camp for the Master Lecture Series goes into more detail and more depth with new additional information, theorists, and so forth, versus the encyclopedia that has like a shorter review. As I mentioned before, this book is the transcript. It's taking information from the popular CDs and cassettes that has been used for many years, in which now is in transcript form based on popular demand. So Dr. Rosenthal decided, hey, let's put this into a book, and it's also let's expand it, make more material to study from, in addition to keywords, understanding mnemonic memory devices, and so forth. So, this is great because now you don't have to purchase a CD, you'll get it all in the book. So this section, I just wanted to show you what Chapter 2 looks like that covers research and program evaluation. As you can tell, there are no questions in this area. The questions will come with the tutorial Q&A, which we'll talk about later, but the chapters that cover the review do not have that. They have the quick understanding of the definition of everything that you need to know in that chapter. So, for example, research is covered from the beginning to the end, right? So, what is the scientific method? What does that look like? Independent variable, dependent variable. And so, which is great because Dr. Rosenthal covers it. That way, you can just kind of walk through visually or just walk through the research from the beginning to the end. So, this is good because I know this area is big with test anxiety because some people feel like it's a lot and sometimes it can be a lot. So with breaking it down in this way from the beginning to the end, I think it's very pivotal and it will help a lot of people with being able to gather the information and better understand the material. So as mentioned, the chapters include short lecture reviews per chapter. For example, Quizziz has literally 20 pages, which is very short compared to the Encyclopedia of Counseling. You will get the actual statement and then you will get the actual answer right then and there because there are no multiple choice. There are bolded words and sentences to highlight important areas to know, which I think is great, especially when you're doing a quick scan. Though I suggest reviewing all the material and the sentences and everything else in order to get the full scope of the book and of the chapters, but the bold areas also help when you're doing a review. There are new definition, theories, explanation, and examples. And as I mentioned earlier, the review goes from beginning to end. For example, for careers, Dr. Rosenthal goes over uh, Frank Parson, yes, Frank Parson in the beginning, and covers the careers throughout the years in chronological order. So the tutorial Q&A are commonly asked questions that Dr. Rosenthal has been seeing, has been given via email, etc., that other students would have about the various areas and various chapters within the Rosenthal book. So he decided to put that into questions and answers. So this also will help you remember the material from the lectures. It'll help explain the material in a new, different, or novel manner, so you won't be thrown off course if your examination presents the concept in an innovative manner. It will also include some new and advanced and updated material. So, what I want to additionally add to this is that there are 400 commonly asked questions from test takers. And after reviewing the information, I have come to realize that some of these questions have been questions that students have asked me while I'm tutoring. So, this is, like I say, a great resource for to get your questions answered way quicker than emailing Dr. Rosenthal, even though Dr. Rosenthal does email back pretty quickly. The next area that we're going to talk about is the tiny test hints. The tiny test hint is a micro mini study session. So it's great to review if you have lunch break, if you're crunched for time, in between, just even in the waiting room, wherever you are, you can just pull out this area in this book and you can begin reading. This could be found in chapter 12, and this is on page 370. So in the tiny test hints, you have 274 actual note taking information. So imagine if you were taking notes yourself, these would be like the notes you will review, but Dr. Rosenthal has already got that covered. Let's talk about the last minute super review, which is the boot camp. The last minute super review boot camp is best to do last once you have read all the chapters, you've completed the Q&A, you've even done the tiny test hints. This is good because it'll allow you to be able to reinforce the information that you already know, and the boot camp is something that you would use when you have to take your exam within like a week or even 2 days before. I always recommend that you take a day before the exam and you take that to do self-care because I think that's very, very important to do. We are almost done with this review, but I want to talk about the test anxiety prevention portion of this book. One of the other key things that I noticed as a tutor that test anxiety and confidence play a big role in how we see ourselves as far as being successful in passing the exam. And it truly helps to have that confidence and boost that anxiety, which will allow you not to feel overwhelmed and to blink out when you're taking your exam. So Dr. Rosenthal has some ways that he has recommended to be able to reduce your test anxiety and improve your confidence. He discusses 10 highly useful recommendations. He has motivational lessons, visualization, and guided imagery, which I think is awesome because I often utilize that in my session. So I always tell my clients or my students to imagine that you're getting every question right. Imagine me being your cheerleader there, cheering you on and going over what we went over about how to use the process of elimination, how to identify keywords, how to trust your instinct as well. Because when you don't trust your instinct, you end up taking too long on the exam. So I think this is great. Breathing techniques are good too. And he talks about ways you can do that. And you can combine that with the visualization and guided imagery. Ask Dr. Rosenthal is the last chapter in this book for Master Lecture Series. This area is where Dr. Rosenthal put on display the emails that he receives from various individuals and test takers who have questions about the book and need clarification. So this is also great because some of these questions you might want to ask Dr. Rosenthal, but you already have the information right in front of you. So with that being said, the next thing I'm going to go over is, do I recommend this book and why? So let's do a review of everything that we've covered so far because we've covered a lot. Overall, there's updated and extended lecture on every exam area. There are new theories added. There are no multiple choice in this book. There's a tutorial Q&A that covers all frequently asked questions by test takers. The information is better explained. It's more straight cut, straightforward, and it's very informational. Then you have some of the information explained in chronological order, which is great. There has been never before published information of the tiny test hints, which is a micro study where you can just use it when you need crunch time in between, maybe your lunch break. So this just has like note-taking information that you want to review. They also have exclusive memory devices where Dr. Rosenthal has created this, and this is new for him. You have case scenarios. So overall, there's so many great things about this book that I truly liked and that I truly saw. Now to the question at hand, would I recommend the new Master Lecture Series by Dr. Rosenthal? I truly will recommend the new Master Lecture Series because of all the things that have been updated, everything that we have discussed. There are so many great added chapters to this book that's not an Encyclopedia of Counseling that you will benefit from. The price for the book is very, very reasonable right now as of today at 1:15 a.m. while I'm recording this on the 26th of November. This book on Kindle is $41.49. The hardcover is $160. The paperback is $41.21. This book can be very, very affordable if you don't get the hardcover, because some people like 160 is pretty steep, but I can understand why, because it's the hardcover. So I will go with one of the things I would say is that, like I said, it has the newly information has been improved with the K-CREP. So that's good, right? You want to have updated questions. You want to have better explanation of answers. You want to have the newest information. Number two, if you don't want to bother with the multiple choice and would like to get straight to the answer and explanation, which is good because some people don't want to do multiple choice, right? And I've had a student who had a very low attention span, and he said that he would get very much overwhelmed with all that's covered in the chapters for Dr. Rosenthal's Encyclopedia of Counseling, and then he could just get straight to the answer. So for Dr. Rosenthal, he will have, oh, what is the t-test? Okay, the t-test is this. This is why we use it. So you don't have to worry about trying to figure out what the actual answer is. It's more direct. And so this will be good for those who don't like to study for too long and want to get straight to the point. Number 3, I already mentioned there are so many benefits. You can also use this together even if you have a purple book. So overall, I would truly recommend this book. It's affordable. It has actual updated information that you can visually see and that you can actually study. So hopefully this has been a good review for you and that you've been able to get the most information from here. And let me know in the comments if you are going to purchase the new Master Lecture Series by Dr. Rosenthal. I hope that you do. And when you do, let me know if you actually do like the book and you're actually benefiting from it. And remember that the book comes out on November the 30th next week. And like I said, the prices are very, very much reasonable. So, like and subscribe if you haven't already to this channel. And thank you again for being here. And I hope you have an amazing night, day, evening, afternoon, wherever you are. Thanks again. Oh, and don't forget, I don't want to forget, honestly, to thank Dr. Rosenthal for providing me this book way before it came out and trusting me to do a review. I really appreciate you, Dr. Rosenthal. I don't know if you'll see this video, but if you do, thank you so much for allowing me to do this. It's been a great pleasure of mine, and I will continue to do so.